Okay, 65 years, would you believe, since the 96th US Air Force Bomber Squadron's airfield was converted by the Aston Martin Owners Club into a race circuit. Then it was enormous and fast and used the whole of the perimeter of the airfield. Since it's been rejigged 5 years back into the Snetterton 300, it's now a 3-mile circuit. It had been reduced until then to just under 2 miles. And of course it adds this radical new infield section that you see the riders beginning to tackle now as they come over the crest of the hill, and it's Brock Parks leading the way. Brock Parks will ride his 20th British Superbike race this weekend, fresh back like some of his opposition this weekend from testing for the Suzuka 8-hour race, where he'll be riding for Mandy Kainz's Yamaha squad, Yamaha Austria squad. It was the perfect fit, really, for Tommy Hill's ePayMe Yamaha team after they lost John Hopkins. Hopper cracked ribs when he had that massive high side when he was going so well at Knock Hill a fortnight ago. So the 34-year-old Brock Parks then takes his place, a veteran, of course, of World Supersport, twice runner-up, and also back then, on 5 occasions, a teammate of Tommy Hill's in 2007 when Tommy took over from the injured Kevin Curtin for the Yamaha Germany official team. So Brock Parks, familiar with British Superbikes. What he is happy about is the fact that he doesn't have to change tyres, because his Yamaha Austria team races Pirelli tyres in the World Endurance Championship. A lot of the guys racing Suzuka have to go to Bridgestone or Michelin tyres, and it makes a big difference when they swap tyres. Leon Haslam's had to do that. He was on Bridgestone last week testing at Suzuka. Yeah. And James, it apparently completely changes his approach to a circuit because of the difference, especially in the front tyres. Yeah, the front is just... It's not more difficult to use, you've just got to make it work. You've got to stick it down, get it thrown in, really put a lot of pressure on the front end. When you do, it gives incredible grip, does at Bridgestone. However, you've got to have your bike completely set up for it. If you just swap tyres and didn't swap anything else, you'd have a bike that was completely unrideable. So Leon says it is that, the difference is that big. This is Dan Linfoot. He was 9th quickest during the dry sessions yesterday on the 2nd of the Honda Racing Fireblades. He loves this place. He was telling me just half an hour ago, but he's never particularly got the results here. But then that was the case at Knock Hill as well, and he had a lovely weekend there 2 weeks ago, so he's optimistic. The highest point scorer in the Superbike class across the 2 races at Knock Hill. He's never had that before anywhere. And he's, like you say, it's a circuit he didn't really... He said he never disliked Knock Hill. He loved riding around, but just never seemed to go that well there. And he's really confident coming into this one, because him and Halloran had a really good test a couple of weeks ago here in good conditions, and said they really think they found a setting with their Fireblades that really work. Dan Linfoot sporting a very smart Go Faster haircut, which he gets done professionally, but his old man, he says, is a typical tight Yorkshireman, doesn't like to pay for getting his hair cut. So it's Dan who cuts his dad's hair, armed with a pair of shears. He says he's got more hair than me, but I cut his hair for him because he doesn't like to pay for it. Yeah, in the 70s, my mum bought a thing from Ronco, a company called Ronco, and you sent off for this thing, and it was basically a comb with a razor blade kind of screwed in the middle of it, and that's, you're going to save your family thousands on haircuts over the years, but really, she just gave us all bald patches and then threw the thing away. Crossing the line, 150.92 for Dan Linfoot, setting the early pace. Javier Beltran for Honda Racing, the team manager, marches back across pit lane. Howie Mainwaring Smart, 2nd quickest at the beginning of this. Tommy Bridewell, Rispoli, Chianari, who has won here 7 times, the same number as this man, Shaky Byrne. But whereas Keogh did almost all his winning before 2008, Shaky's done all his winning since 2008. Bar one, he was victorious in the 2nd race then, and he's unbeaten here since the 2nd race in 2013. So that's 5 race wins on the trot for Shaky Byrne at the Snetterton 300. Yeah, a lot of development got into that Panigale Ducati in the last couple of weeks. They've now got the same exhaust system that Chaz Davis has in World Superbike. Now, the difference is it looks like it's got 2 big silencers up underneath like the 1198, and they are actually 1198 silencers, because in World Superbike they're allowed to produce up to 115 decibels. Here, 107 decibels, so they need that extra silencer. But forward of the silencer, it's exactly the same system as Chaz Davis and Giuliano running World Superbike. Did you mention in our intro that they've been having a few hiccups with it this weekend? Yeah,
if you get a different exhaust, it alters the fueling. They're so critical on everything matching, and they just needed work to get the fueling matched to the new exhaust pipe. And they say it will definitely produce more power, but it was just getting usable power through the rev engine. You're getting connection throttle to the bike moving that was Shaky's issue at first.
Well, it's certainly got enough power through there to get him round about 9/10 of a second quicker than Dan Linfoot and goes top of the table. Checking out Alistair Seeley on the RAF Reserves BMW as the tiny Ulsterman comes howling down the back straight, followed by the equally small Stuart Easton. Like almost lost the front there as he dropped into the chicane. Got a black flag for number 26, Reggie Wainwright, and someone's off. Is that one of the JG Speedfit boys?
No, it's Luke Mossy.
Luke Mossy, yeah. Oh, Mossy will be frustrated and furious with himself. This is virtually his home track. He was feeling pretty relaxed and confident before this session, but that could seriously dampen his chances.
I don't look like he's hurt himself. It looks like he's complete. And the bike doesn't actually look that bad. Let's have a look what happened. This is... I might have got a bit lucky with that one. No. The way that seat wobbled has it. Yeah, he's definitely snapped a subframe at the back there.
Oh, Luke, so that could already end with only, look at that, James, the minutes ticking down. There's only 11 minutes left, so it's the Skywalker might not manage to get back out on the Quattro Platec Kawasaki here.
Yeah, and it has to be that bike. You're not allowed two bikes, so he would have to get that one back. The good news is he's not too far from the paddock there. If he can get it through an access gate and get it back, through the back door, if you like, into the paddock, and it didn't. Yeah, it looked like it did take 10 minutes to get that going again, but he hasn't got that.
Brock Parks momentarily went quickest with a 149.92 for ePayMe Yamaha. He's just been beaten to it this time. Shaky Byrne does a 149.181. This is Dan Linfoot that we're with on the Honda Racing Fireblade.
Yeah, Dan Linfoot, new dad, his wife Carly, and they've got a new little girl. And I said, are you getting any sleep? He says, yep, I'm in the spare room.
So at the moment, Peter Hickman's gone second quickest. Hickey goes second quickest. Parks drops to third. Linfoot, number 4, is currently in 4th place. He's looking at a 149.1 as the fastest time. 149.957 leaves him in 4th place. So that seems to be his consistent lap time at the moment. It's Shaky Byrne, Peter Hickman, Brock Parks, Dan Linfoot, Richard Cooper, Tommy Bridewell, currently the top 6. Welcome back to Snetterton, and we're looking at number 3, Billy McConnell, the Australian from Adelaide on the FS3 Racing Kawasaki, the team that bought up all of Paul Bird's Kawasaki stuff at the end of 2015. So this is indeed the motorcycle that Shaky Byrne was riding last year. And at the moment, McConnell in 9th place. Just at that moment gets dished down to 11th as these guys rocket across. This is Leon Haslam. We were mentioning earlier how he was having to, his dad Ron says it took a complete session for him to get accustomed to the Pirelli tyres again, James. You just got to feel your way back in, especially to those the front tyre feel.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So 91, the pocket rocket, Leon Haslam. And as he goes through Palmer's, what's really shocking is how fast these bikes gain momentum. He's up to 150 miles per hour, ladies and gentlemen, in 4th gear before he backs it down to 2nd into Agostini's. This is a 40-mile-an-hour left-hander, which seems like a sane kind of speed. But then, in this brief straight, he's up to 120 in 3rd gear before he tips into the left-hander at Hamilton's. Through that at about 70. Straight back up to 110, then hard on the brakes for the 50-mile-an-hour right-hander at Oggy's. And then even in this short straight, now he's back up to 110 miles an hour before he's into the 3rd gear, 70-mile-an-hour right-hander through Williams onto the back straight. Yes, I can accept that he's then up to 180 miles an hour down the Bentley straight, but it's the speed, James, the momentum that's gained in those short bursts between corners that's so impressive.
Yeah, but you can work it out dead easy. They weigh 160 kilos and they've got 210, 215 brake horse. That is a power-to-weight ratio that I don't even want to work it out. Honestly. That is a lot of power to weight. These things have a lot of power for a small machine.
As he goes around Corums now, he gets hard on the brakes into the 50-mile-an-hour 2nd gear left-hander at Murray's. That, of course, used to be the Russell chicane, and then it's gassing it uphill and through the gears, or it would be if he carried on through his lap, but now he disappears into pit lane.
I knew we were going to come in. I thought, what's Jack going to do then?
At the moment then, Shaky Bird, Peter Hickman, Michael Laverty. Just when I said off-air that the Tyco BMWs were struggling a bit, Laverty's popped up with a 149.82. That's Peter Hickman. Mark Smith Halverson, his team boss, having a word with Hickey. Parks is 4th, Linfoot 5th, Haslam in 6th, ahead of O'Halloran, Jackson, Bridewell and Glen Irwin 10th.
You've got a couple of strugglers there, you know, that you wouldn't expect to be that far down. In 20th, you've got Christian Idden, he's 3rd in the championship, now just dropped to 21st, then Kinari in 23rd, Seeley 24th.
Mainwaring Smart on the Smiths BMW is 25th, he's celebrating his 130th Superbike race tomorrow. This is Glen Irwin on the BYD Ducati. He's comfortable in 10th place with a 150.16.
Mention for Jake Dixon in 13th. He's sore. Well, what? It's only a couple of weeks since Knockhill, and I mean, he was really beaten to a pulp up there, was the lad. Yeah, still hobbling about. Kind of dented pride and sort of mentality-wise, he's still bang up for it.
Well, after how impressive he was in his appearance at Knockhill, first time out on the Superbike,
yeah.
James, he has every right to feel confident.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Glen Irwin there is cruising now on the number 2 machine. We're looking back down at that lower end. You can see that Stuart Easton's in 17th place behind the returning Jack Kennedy. Kennedy, the Dubliner, is spirited, is in good spirits. Taped up, the injured ankle is taped up, but everything else seems to have recovered quite well because he has given himself a fair battering. This is the 7-time race winner here, Yuichi Kiyanari, number 23, running for the Bennett Suzuki team. And he is currently down in 23rd place. I know he's number 23, but Kiyo, you don't have to be down there. He also, of course, is back toing and froing to Suzuka for the Suzuka 8-hour race, where he's with Team Kageyama. He's a relative youth for Kageyama's team, isn't he?
Yeah, he's actually.
Number 24, this is Christian Idden. Idden, 21st place. That's really not where the number 24 nor the number 23 want to be as they cross the line. Have they improved any? No, they haven't. Idden, 151.3. So for some reason, Christian Idden isn't finding the pace that he needs, even with his unlucky, unmatching boots.
Yeah, Christian's injured slightly as well. I don't know how much that's going to be affecting him. He's lost the end of his finger. His left-hand index finger. He got it caught in a post-knocking machine. And yeah, it's only about half an inch off the end, but it's not the fact that you can't use that finger. It's the fact it's so painful. Can you imagine having to use the clutch and grip the handlebars with a bike like this? Yeah, he's a tough lad, actually. He was telling me all about it and showing me and saying what he did wrong. And you know, as is the way now with the younger end, as soon as they get an injury, the first thing they want to do is not get medical attention. They want to take a picture of it so they can put it on social media. But yeah, it's a mess, is his finger.
Oh dear, I didn't know that. So there we are, Christian Idden then in that beautiful helmet, struggling a little bit on bike number 24, currently down in a perhaps understandable 21st place. The other people just outside the qualifying spot. There's number 20, Jenny Tinmouth. She's in 29th place. 16th is Jack Kennedy, as I said, making his return with WD-40. 7th is Stuart Easton. 18th is Martin Jessup. So he's got the better at the moment of James Rispoli, Jakob Smertz, and this guy in picture, Christian Idden.
It's strange, you know, Snetterton, over the years, I've known this place as in the second layout, not the big long perimeter track that nearly went down into Norwich. But the 2.5-mile layout where you went sort of down the back straight instead of into the infield, and that ran for a long time. And it was almost a forgotten circuit of the country. The surface was patchy and a bit rough, and it was just the garages were sort of second rate, really. But this place it's really come good now. It's really professional. Everything looks the part. It's a proper nice circuit, is this now.
Christian Idden's enjoyed an improvement on that lap. He moved into 14th place, so that's encouraging for him. Just behind him, James Ellison. No, Ellison's just skipped into 4th place. James Ellison, number 77, has skipped into 4th. This is his teammate, number 91, Leon Haslam.
Haslam currently 7th.
This is number 40, Martin Jessup. He's now been squeezed out into 20th place. Backland's gone 18th. Easton is out of it on the ePayMe Yamaha. His brand new teammate, Brock Parks, is 5th. And I've got to say, that's slightly embarrassing for the number 5, Stuart Easton. So he's in 19th, Jessup 20th.
Yeah, man, we're watching Martin Jessup. really, really good all-round rider, you know. Rides the roads, he's won at Macau, he's good at the Northwest, he's getting a lot better and quicker at the TT, also good on short, so mega motocrosser.
I was just going to say, don't forget his off-road skills.
Yeah, he is. He's a good all-rounder, he's Martin.
So Martin Jessup in 20th place on the riders' motorcycles. Right, this is number 7, Michael Laverty, sitting comfortably in 3rd place. Michael Laverty, who was a winner here in the 2nd race in 2012. In fact, he was the last person to get the better of Shaky Byrne before, who's still around in this paddock, or has returned to this paddock now. Alex Laws, of course, being the other one in 2013 before Byrne's winning sequence set in. So at the moment then, we've got from about 15th place, Christian Idden is 15th, Danny Buchan is 16th, Jack Kennedy 17th, Philip Backlund 18th, and then Easton, Jessup, Rispoli coming into picture now, and the yellow number 77.
He's quietly confident. I won't say confident, but certainly more upbeat than we've seen him previously this season. Had a little bit of bad luck. He's been on the ground a couple of times, not his fault at least one of those times, and ridden a little bit injured beginning of the season. But yeah, good. He's American, therefore he's going to be fairly confident when he's talking to him. But I do like talking to him. He's a nice bloke. Funny, actually. He's
been enjoying himself training hard and playing on motorcycles in Wales the past week. So he's feeling well settled for this weekend.
There you go.
So the checkered flag has gone out. James Rispoli, of course, has still got this one possible lap to do. Or is this an outlap? This could be an outlap. It may be too late for Rispoli in 21st place. He certainly looks like he's still on it. Meanwhile, Leon Haslam down the back straight, the Bentley straight. Byrne, Hickman, Laverty, Ellison, Parks, Linfoot. Haslam in picture is 7th. Halloran's crossed the checkered flag in 8th place. Lee Jackson in a good ride in 9th ahead of his teammate Richard Cooper. Checking Rispoli, he's crossed the line and remains nailed down in 21st place. So anybody outside the top 18, this will be their starting position for the race as Leon Haslam comes howling up the straight, which is quite a long haul and quite a steep climb up towards the line. And he goes second.
Yeah.
So much for me being misinformed. People were on outlaps. That was a 1 minute 49.286.
Yeah, but it was Rispoli on the outlap. No, Haslam.
Byrne, Haslam, Hickman, Laverty, Ellison, Parks, Linfoot, O'Halloran, Jackson and Cooper are the top 10. And then outside that top 10, Tommy Bridewell, Glenn Irwin, Billy McConnell, Idden, Dixon, Buchan, Kennedy and Backlund. So we lose Stuart Easton, Martin Jessup, Rispoli, Smertz, Jakob Smertz. Alistair Seeley struggling again, down in 23rd place, and Kianari 24th on the Bennett Suzuki. This is Danny Buchan howling up, or rather bellowing up the straight on the big Ducati. And Buchan jumps to 13th place on that last lap. Aaron Zanotti, who celebrates his 220th BSB race tomorrow, one of the most experienced riders on the grid, down there in 26th place, ahead of one of the least experienced, Josh Hook, the Australian. So Shaky Byrne, fastest, well, seemingly comfortably fastest on that first session, ahead of Leon Haslam and Peter Hickman. Michael Laverty 4th for Tyco BMW, ahead of Ellison's Kawasaki. Brock Parks, ePayme Yamaha, is a promising 6th, ahead of the 2 Hondas, Linfoot and Halloran, and the 2 build-based BMWs of Lee Jackson and Richard Cooper. 11th place for Tommy Bridewell on the leading Bennett Suzuki, and then it's the 2 opposing Ducati teams, Irwin and Buchan 12th and 13th, Billy McConnell 14th, Christian Idden and Jake Dixon on BMWs 15th and 16th, and the last 2 qualifiers, Kawasaki duo Jack Kennedy and Philip Backlund, which means out go Jakob Smertz and Stuart Easton. Martin Jessup also finds himself 21st on the grid. James Rispoli 22nd, Alistair Seeley, Yuichi Kianari, Howie Mainwaring Smart, Aaron Zanotti, Josh Hook, the luckless Luke Mossey, Jenny Tinmouth and Sean Winfield round out the top 30.
Yeah, some big names missing out there, isn't there, in Q2? But 2 of the riders safely through are the 2 Honda Racing riders, Dan Linfoot and Jason O'Halloran, who've been in good form all weekend. Javier Beltran is the team boss. Javier, your guys looking strong this weekend, and I think even James Whitton mentioned at the top of our show today, strongly tipped to do well tomorrow.
Well, we really hope so. You know, after following on from Knockhill, the guys know it's a bit of a turning point for us. We had a really good test here a few weeks ago. Found a few bits and pieces. We were able to adopt that here for this weekend. It would have been nice for all of us to have had a dry session this morning to actually confirm a few things, but we're having to run that into qualifying now. But really pleased with both how Dan and Jason have, you know, really got to grips with it and got stuck in.
It looks like they'll both be going through to probably through to the Super Pole session, which is a slightly different format. Have you briefed the riders? Have you made a plan? You know, because it's not easy, is it, for them to go out and just set one quick lap?
It's not, but, you know, Dan and Jason are both looking forward to it. They're not shy of just going out there and doing one quick lap. To be fair, I think all the teams, you know, really looking forward to it. There's a couple of rounds where it could have happened, and unfortunately, weather hampered that. But here at Snetterton this afternoon, the weather's really changed and picked up, albeit a bit windy, but you know, ideal for Super Pole. And I'm confident Dan and Jason are going to take it by the horns, really.
We'll look forward to that. Thank you very much, Javier. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
OK, so look out then for Jason O'Halloran and for Dan Linfoot. Team boss Javier Beltran is backing them to do well in Super Pole. Next up, though, it's Q2, and it's coming up after the break. The stakes are raised here at Snetterton now for Q2. The top 9 riders will go through to Super Pole. Let's cross back to the commentary box and rejoin James and Jack.
Bespectacled Swede getting back on board the Quattro plant Kawasaki. This is Philip Backlund, who got himself in there in 18th place. So the Super Swede takes off. We check back with the Motor Rapido Lloyd's British Ducati squad. This is Danny Buchan. Any of the lads from kind of Essex, Cambridgeshire can regard this as pretty much a local track, and Danny, 6'3" of Danny Buchan is one of them. Jason O'Halloran fastest in both dry conditions yesterday and the very wet conditions this morning. Really impressive from the Australian as he rides out on bike number 22. 28 years old now, Jason O'Halloran, following out his number 4 teammate. And behind him, number 7, the Tyco BMW of Michael Laverty. Laverty, one of the guys who's won a race around here. And there's number 27, the absolute rookie, his second meeting for Jake Dixon in British Superbikes. Conditions could be very warm, though, James. We had to open the door here. It's steaming.
Yep, warm, a little bit humid, but the main feature of the weather is really windy. It's in their face as they go down the start-finish straight. So it's now, well, it's behind them now, where we're looking at them now. So it's, yeah, it's windy, and that has a big, it's big kind of wind-swept flat place, as all ex-airfield circuits tend to be.
And that means it's going to be maximum strength at their backs as they're going down the Bentley Straight at the back. So up to 180 miles an hour, and then judging your braking point into the left-hander at the end.
You're going to have to brake earlier, but you kind of naturally do that, you know. It's not, doesn't seem that difficult. Wind is more of a problem when you get it on the side and it's blustery, when it gusts. You're not expecting it.
This is the WD-40 Kawasaki of Jack Kenny. It's lovely to see the Dubliner back. It's now, of course, briefly become a 2-man superbike team, because also Josh Hook, the young Australian, has stepped in after leaving the Grelini Kawasaki team, understandably, in World Superbikes, where he found that his 2016 crew chief had been the chef cooking for hospitality last year.
How does that work?
I don't know. Perhaps the crew chief had showed promise as a cook, so they simply swapped roles.
We like your beans on toast. We're going to move you into the garage.
So we've got, at the moment, out on track, we're looking at number 22, Jason O'Halloran, who's really taken very comfortably to this. This is a lad who, of course, and was announced on the British scene, really, by SMT Honda back in 2009. So he's been around on the scene for a long time. This is Tommy Bridewell, who's actually, he's a former runner-up in 125 GP British Championship racing here back in 2003, our Tom. Bridewell then, far and away quicker than teammate Kianari on the Halsall Racing Bennett Suzuki. And he brakes hard at the end of that straight. It's the 90-mile-an-hour third gear left-hander at Brundle's, and then squeaking round the 55-mile-an-hour right-hander at Nelson's, holding the same gear as he swings through the bomb hole. And again, that lateral speed, 125 miles an hour, peaking in third gear before he tips it into Corums at 95 miles an hour. This is an awesome track to ride around.
The last bit from the end of the back straight all the way through the S's, as it used to be called, and the bomb hole in Corums, as all as it was, that hasn't changed. And then Murray's, the last bit, used to be called Russell's, that has changed a bit. And the rest of the track's completely different, to be honest.
So crossing the line, Tommy Bridewell sets the first target time, and it's a good one, of 1:49.862 for the man from just outside Devices. This is Richard Cooper. Oh, look at the adjusting his body weight as he almost dipped a bit early into the Murray's left-hander then. As he crosses the line now on the build-based BMW, what time does Cooperman set? And he goes quickest, 1:49.7. Jackson behind him, and with 52.2. Brock Park's on an outlet 55.5. So Cooperman quickest then, 1:49.75. One of our race winners so far, of course, this season. This is looking right down on top of the 32-mile-an-hour right-hander at Montreal. That's one of the second gear or even bottom gear moments on the track. This is Lee Bob Jackson, Lincolnshire lad. And this is Michael Laverty heading up the hill. This is the wind right in their faces as they come up the hill towards the finishing line now. And Laverty's sixth fastest with a 1:49.862. Linford is quickest there with a 48.7.
Yep, that's quick. We're getting down to something like some times now.
Number 77, James Ellison, we haven't really caught up with so far. So the JG Speedfit Kawasaki. The Cumbrian now exiled to Leicester, or Leicestershire.
Have they exiled him, or did he move by his own?
No, he
volition.
He's near Dino. His
I know he is, but it's not exiled, is it? That's why he get kicked out.
No, he's exiled himself.
Yeah.
So James Ellison looking to put his name into that top 9. Remember, 18 becomes 9 for the Super Bowl session.
Byrne goes quickest. 48.5.
48.5 for Byrne, but problem now for Michael Laverty and the Tyco BMW. Has he been off it? Has the bike stopped?
He's definitely been off it. Yeah, he's definitely been down the road as that.
So Laverty currently 9th, but possibly not for very long. He could have chosen just the wrong time to do that. Philip Neal and Phil Dashy there looking anxiously over pit wall, wondering where Michael's got to. Oh, is it Agostini? He's just lost the front.
Yeah.
It's just a simple mistake like that, James.
Yep. It's one of the things about the whole of this Snetterton circuit, the new and the old bit, there's very, very little camber. And that always promotes, if you're going to go down, it's generally front end. You're going in there, kind of a little bit of brake, you get the bike on each side, and there's nothing, when you've got camber, you've got a feeling of safety in the front.
Shaky Byrne there, just taking a casual look over his shoulder to see what's going on. As you can see, Bridewell's now been pushed out of that top 9 into the red drop zone. Ellison is in 10th place. These are the Ducatis out there. Shaky Byrne already quickest ahead of Linfoot, now second, Buchan in third. Parks has jumped that blue AE Payme Yamaha into 4th ahead of O'Halloran. Irwin is in 6th place. That's impressive on bike number 2. He crosses the line now, he stays 6th. 7th for Iden, and James Whittam has just shown me the picture of Christian Iden's index finger that he posted on social media, and it's grotesque, bless him. It's been sewn back on.
Apparently they tried to sew it back on because he wouldn't have been able to ride any other way. They wanted to do something different with it and put a splint out the front where he wouldn't have been able to get a glove on. He said, no, I've got a race this weekend. So they said, right, we'll stitch it back on, do a little bit of a temporary job, come back, and then we'll see what we can do. But we've less chance of being able to do something with it after the weekend than we have now. You've got to be, well, you've got to understand that. He said, yeah, all right. I'll come back and see you after the weekend.
Brock Parks, a regular on the World Endurance Championship now with the Yamaha Austria racing team, making his return to the British Superbike paddock as a replacement rider. Bike number 32, he's in 5th place now, ahead of Ellison's jumped into 6th. O'Halloran 7th, Irwin's still in there, Iden only just in there. The yellow and blue is, of course, the familiar colour scheme of WD-40 Kawasaki. That's Jack Kennedy. He's down in 17th place. O'Halloran currently 7th with a 1:49.13. And as he comes steaming up the line, up the straight towards the finishing line, he hops up into 3rd place. So the Hondas now, well, they're doing what Javier Beltran said. They're going 2nd, 3rd. They're heading for Super Bowl.
Yeah, they found something. He wouldn't actually tell me what it was, wouldn't Dan? And Dan's never, I mean, I know Dan really well, and I would expect him to tell me, no, we've come up, we've found a setting, and we've discovered something, and a little bit Tom Sykes in his way that he said, we've found a little bit of something. But they were really confident. They were really looking forward to the weekend. They thought that they now had a bike they could run at the front with.
1:48.15 seals. Oh, as we watch a problem there for Backlund. Philip Backlund is bumping across the grass. Shaky Byrne's just run a 1:48.156, which puts him virtually half a second clear of Dan Linfoot. I think it's. I actually think it's there. That's the Javier Beltran effect. Javier's born and bred Honda, and you don't let the cat out of the bag. So he's obviously told Dan, don't tell that Whittam what we've discovered.
No, what I think it must be something that's not just about the Honda. It must be something that's kind of common to a lot of bikes. If you make a bit of a discovery that anybody else can put onto their machine, well, you don't really want to tell them. If it's just a Honda thing, well, you can do, because you're the only ones out there.
Christian Idden working hard despite that nasty finger injury as he comes up the hill behind number 3, Billy McConnell on the FS3 Kawasaki. Idden crosses the line. Can he improve on 10th place? Yes, he can. 6th. That is really brave. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen the state of that finger, even on a photograph, then you've got to be impressed with that. This is the RAF BMW of newcomer Jake Dixon. Yeah, Dixon, remember, got well and truly run over after colliding with the fallen Shaky Byrne in the hairpin at Knockhill 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Josh Wainwright clobbered him. I mean, he was a little bit unsighted, was Josh, a bit unfortunate. And that was a classic case of, you should have really got it. Jake should have got off the track, really, but he was trying to pick his bike up, and anyway, it was a bit unfortunate, but he's well knocked about still.
Dixon crosses the line. He remains 14th, 1:49.5. So there's only Jack Kennedy and Philip Backlund who have so far failed to break 1:50, except, James, for Peter Hickman, who's never emerged from the garage. Yes, he has. He's got 3 laps in, but the quickest is a 1:54.1. So Peter Hickman, something's up for Peter Hickman. This is Richard Cooper.
That's the one with the helmet on, not the
beautiful creature on the right.
That's on the chase.
And here's Peter Hickman. Peter Hickman has just launched himself up to 8th place, having had to... God, that's impressive that he's had to sit there in the garage while the bike has been sorted. Hickey's got back out and he's put himself in contention.
He's been quite quick, though. He's been another one. At the test a couple of weeks ago for 2 days, and here this weekend so far, he's been really quick, so you'd expect that.
It's just the fact that you can remain patient when it's, you know, your time is ebbing away.
Yeah, it's difficult. James Ellison.
Ellison is currently in 10th place. He's now got to... He's shaking his head, and he's really got to galvanise himself. Has he got time?
No, he hasn't got time. No, because he's got 17 seconds. He ain't going to get around to start another flying lap in that time.
So James Ellison, no wonder he's shaking his head, because it looks like he is going to be condemned to 10th place on the grid for tomorrow's race, first race.
Yeah, 4th row for him, not where he wants to be.
And there is a relax. Now, Shaky Byrne, when they did the test here, Shaky was telling us, James, that he was struggling with the steering of the Ducati. He couldn't get the bike just to turn where he wanted it to round here.
He did say that. He did say that. He said it was... I don't know whether that might be a camber thing as well, or, I mean, obviously it's partly set up, but he didn't even mention that yesterday. He mentioned that the bike was difficult to get out the corners, because when you open the throttle, nothing happened, and it all came in with a big rush. All the power came through, and he was really nervous of cracking the throttle in the middle of the corner, which you would be, because if you get a big rush of power middle of the corner, bike went over when you're going flying. But he didn't mention the front end at all. He said the bike was really good apart from that, so obviously they've sorted it.
Here's Peter Hickman. He's already in 8th place. He's already done enough. He remains in 8th place. 1:49.024. That was his last flying lap. That was his quickest lap of his abbreviated stint because he actually ended up getting half a dozen laps in. Danny Buchan is in there in 5th place for the Lloyd's British Panigale motor repeater team. So there's 2 Ducatis in there, but not the 2 we necessarily expected. So a good ride there. Terry Reimer on the right of picture there. The Too Tall Tell, who works with Danny Buchan because they're both 6'3". So one tall man who's actually won a race here. Actually, Terry Reimer, he's was a race winner back in the day here.
Terry's won races everywhere. Terry was very, very good. I know I was on the receiving end a few times.
So Danny's obviously pleased with that. Terry actually came here for the test, the 2-day test, BSB test before Knock Hill, and worked a bit with Danny there. So it's obviously paying dividends. So he has qualified for Super Pole. This is number 44, Jack Kennedy. He returns with a 17th place. He's bound to be a bit ring rusty, James, after you've been injured and off a bike.
I don't think he'd be too disappointed with that, to be honest.
So this is the scene then. We're going to have Super Pole, and it's going to register these guys: Shane Byrne, Dan Linfoot, Jason O'Halloran, Leon Haslam, Danny Buchan, Richard Cooper, good ride, Christian Eden, brave ride, Peter Hickman and Brock Parks for ePay Me Yamaha, but we'll be losing James Ellison along with Irwin, Jackson, McConnell, Dixon. Tommy Bridewell will be disappointed with 15th. Michael Laverty very disappointed after falling. Jack Kennedy 17th, and Philip Backlund, who also went down, is in 18th with a Quattro Plant Cool Kawasaki.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Well done there to Richard Cooper and to Brock Parks in particular. Impressive stuff, James, for Brock jumping on that Yamaha this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, amazing, especially with the year he had last year, you know, getting a sack from the Yamaha team, and then he's come back. You know, what a great performance. And there's some real surprises there. James Ellison not getting through, you know, lots of people wouldn't have seen that. The 2 Hondas going amazing, but it's really Shane Byrne, nearly half a second clear of everyone else. That was an absolute stunning lap.
Now he's got to do it on this one flying lap, because we've got this new qualifying format for Q3. The Super Pole session coming up. We're all really excited about it. We're taking you on a little walk here from the pit lane around, and we can show you what's going to happen at the end of this session. Is that the riders, after they've finished their lap, each lap, they will come into this kind of holding area here where there's fans are gathered, and obviously the TV crews and stuff like that to speak to the guys as and when they come in. James, I'm really interested to see how this Super Pole session works, because I guess from a rider's perspective, it brings you into play a little bit more, because it's not just about how you ride the bike, but also your mental approach and going out there and just doing one lap. What does that take? How do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it many times back in the days of World Superbike, and you know, you've got to, firstly, you've got to be really focused. You've got to make sure you can't afford any mistakes at all. So there's a bit of pressure there to really hit every mark. And you know, you can see some people sort of, they can blow their laps, you know, let the pressure get to them. The other thing that's always quite interesting as well, some people really work to try and get it in tow, get hooked in, and they're not very good at doing a lap by themselves, whereas actually when it comes to Super Pole, you have to do a lap neat and tidy by yourself. So I used to love Super Pole. I can't wait. I'm actually really excited to see it.
Yeah, so am I, and it's coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. So far, Shane Byrne is the man to beat, but can he reproduce that pace under the pressure of Super Pole? Find out after the break. So we can have our new Super Pole format for 2016. It's going to be really exciting, and there's the first man out. Brock Parks is ready to go, so let's cross back to James and Jack.
Brock Parks, riding number 32, now has the single. This is a session I used to dread in a few years back in World Superbikes. These guys go out for a single sighting lap, and then he has to lay it all on the line for a single flat-out qualifying lap. And if you mess up, you've messed up, and that's it. You've got no second bite at the cherry. James,
I did it for two or three seasons in World Superbike, and it's kind of something you get used to. Some riders are a lot better at it than others. The king of it in World Superbike when they ran that format was definitely Troy Corser. Unbelievable. You're going out with a new rear tyre on, and it's how much grip you've got to decide how much grip you've got and go, instead of just easing into it over the space of 3 or 4 laps, which is obviously the safest way of doing it. Strangely, what everybody thought when the format was first kind of conjured up at World Superbike going back to the late 90s, Everybody thought it's going to just be a lot of eyesight crashes, and it wasn't. There was virtually no crashes in it. There wasn't. It was a really safe way of doing it.
Brock Parks, I've never seen him more cheerful and relaxed. He's really happy to be here. He's enjoying the track, really enjoying the bike. He hasn't changed anything. He's virtually taken John Hopkins' settings on the ePayMe Yamaha and found that they'd suit him well, and they're very close to what he runs on the World Endurance Yacht Yamaha.
Strange thing is, he didn't get on with the Milwaukee bike that became the championship winning machine. It's a weird one.
This one, I think this one's a little more developed in that it hasn't just got a kind of standard swing arm and stuff. There's a bit more scope for things, and he feels the bike's just more settled and sorted, really, and he's loving it. A man who's we were amazed to realise, I've been commentating on the whole of his European and world career since he arrived as an 18-year-old in Y2K as Wayne Gardner's protege. And Wayne promptly left him to his own devices, and he drank too much, which he's happy to own up to now, and he generally got a bit out of sorts, and he had a massive prang at Paddock Hill Bend at Brands Hatch that finished that season for him.
Yeah, well, he was just a young lad, wasn't he? He'd have a drink and have a bit of a fight, and he was, you know, it was just a sort of typical kind of bloke, wasn't he? That's what he was.
Josh Hook said to him in some amazement, "So you were racing before I was ever born?" Anyway, as he brakes hard now into Aggles, he dips round Agostini's. This is the second gear, 40-mile-an-hour left-hander, but he bursts up to the third gear, 120-mile-an-hour towards Hamilton's.
And Hickman's away. Hickman starts his warm-up lap now, so there'll be two bikes on track. They'll never see each other. All things going off as it should do.
And what? Where's the music featuring them? Because Brock Parks has selected Down Under by Man at Work.
Man at Work, yeah, Down Under. That's an 80s favourite tune of mine, and yeah, it was #1, I think. And that plays on the tannoy around the circuit as they go out on the to start the lap, so we can't actually hear it in the booth, Jack.
So as he brakes hard, then Brock Parks at the end of the back straight, 1 minute 12.25 at his second split on the ePayMe Yamaha. It's good to see an ePayMe Yamaha up here and getting involved in Superpole. The distinctive style of Brock Parks, who's always, despite the fact his greatest successes were in World Supersport, where he was twice a World Supersport runner-up, he's always loved the power of big bikes. Brought up on dirt tracks in Australia, the most successful amateur dirt tracker back in his youth in Australia. He's always loved the huge power, the gobfuls of power of these big motorcycles, and he's powering up the hill now, scattering cement just as he crosses the line. 148.829, good target, good benchmark then from Brock Parks, the 34-year-old Australian whose birthday's on Christmas Eve, would you believe, has set the target then. Leon Haslam just keeping his thoughts to himself.
Yeah, and some of the tunes that these lads have chosen are strange, really. You expect most of them are young lads that choose more contemporary stuff. Hickman's, the man we're looking at now, he chose Limp Bizkit. Take a look around. Even I've heard of that one.
So this is the JG Speedfit Kawasaki of the tall Derbyshire-born Lincolnshire resident as he drops into the final turn here. So this is where he's got to make it pay. Up the hill at this point onwards, it's all in the hands of Peter Hickman for one flying lap on the bike number 60. So up the hill, maxing out up the hill before he drops into Richards, the traditional first lap. Fourth gear, fast, 80-mile-an-hour at the apex.
I saw a bit of an old trick he used there, going right against the pit wall as he went up, try and get out of the wind. That's just to try and get a little bit of still air and get out of that sort of 15-knot wind that's in your face and try and just gain a few yards there.
I was a bit puzzled by that line,
Used to always do it on 125s and 80s when you have no power at all. It's really important to do that. You generally get a little bit of still air next to the pit wall.
And Hickman, of course, is a big lad anyway, so every little lack of wind resistance he can find is going to help him. So back in your days on 125s, it must have seemed a long straight, that one, James.
It was, yeah, but luckily I had a really quick 125, so I loved it.
Lovely shot there of Peter Hickman, determinedly going through the right-hander at Oggies, and then on to Williams. Oh, wide at Williams, drags it back, just skirts the grass as he comes onto the Bentley straight, and then as flat on the tank as a big fella can get as he comes down the straight, and then hits the brakes into Brundles, being blown down the straight by that strong following wind. flicks it right now at Nelson's, and then it's on through the bomb hole, which is far more of a dip than it looks on screen, James.
It is, yeah, it's a real dip. It's the overall variation in latitude of this place is 5 metres. That's all it varies, and that's just about all at the bomb hole.
Altitude, in fact.
Yes, I don't know what the height, I mean, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's right. I think mine work. Altitude's if you're in the air, I think.
As we go up the hill now, 148.829 is the target set. This is a good lap, 148.697. So Peter Hickman goes quickest for JG Speedfit Kawasaki, and I think that was a nod of approval.
It was, yeah, I think so.
And match with Brock Parks, the man who set the first target for these guys.
Brock, how was that for you? Obviously back in BSB first time and through to Superpole.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good. I haven't had a lot of dry laps, so every time I get on the bike, I'm trying to, you know, try and get a rhythm, but I feel good, and, you know, that was a bit different the Superpole lap because you have to put one down, no mistakes, so, yeah, no, it felt pretty good.
Thanks, Brock, well done. Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers. So Brock Parks, understandably pleased with that. He put a serious face on for Matt then. He was really bubbling in the garage a couple of hours ago. This is Christian Idden, complete with that severed index finger on his clutch hand as he goes through Montreal, the slowest point on the track, and then over the crest of the hill on the Tyco BMW. James, Stuart Johnston was telling me, Michael Laverty's crew chief was telling me they don't use the bottom gear on the BMW. They
use second gear.
Because of the fact that it's got to go through neutral, so it's an awkward crossover to make on the BMW box.
Yeah, maybe on the BMW it shouldn't be. You should be, you know, I mean, but these things have so much torque now and so much power that they really, you know, you can use second where you used to forced to be in first. Yeah,
I was surprised that they go when he gets to the end of the back straight, he'll actually be holding in third gear, even exiting Nelson's, which is quite a tight kind of 55 mile an hour right-hander.
Yeah, these things they've got power from really low down, so it's not as important to be the perfect gear. When you've only got 40 horsepower on a 125 and that's all squeezing about 1,000 RPM, gearbox is important.
He's plus 0.285 as he desperately hangs onto the brakes there at the end of the straight. So he's pretty close to that time of Peter Hickman's at the moment. Hickman 48.69, so he's almost on a par with Brock Parks, 48.829. So Parks Idden for second place at this stage in proceedings as he hooks the curve for a long way round Corums. And oh, look at that great rear shot, and then has to anchor it up for the left-hander at Murray's. And then on the gas up the hill, and it's a long drag to the finish line here. Target 148.69, Parks 148.82, and it's a 149.0. Idden goes third, so it's Hickman, Parks, Idden at the moment. And let's check out what Peter Hickman has thought about his lap. He's down there with Matt.
Peter, well done first of all for getting into Superpole. This is the first time you'll have done it. How was it?
Yeah, good actually. We had a little problem in Q2. I couldn't change gear. I went for my fast lap in Q2 and I couldn't change gear, so I had to come back to the pits in first, which took quite a bit of doing, try not to overhead the bike. And then when I got back to the pits, the guys did a good job. Quick turnaround, was in the pits probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then straight back out. Obviously managed to get the lap in, and then obviously just done my first ever Superpole lap, and I actually messed it up a little bit. I was a bit annoyed with myself. I made a mistake onto the back straight, which obviously cost me all the way down the straight there, and he took the front and off the rear and all sorts. So, but we still did equal my best lap ever of this Snetterton circuit, so can't be too bad.
Cheers, Peter, well done.
Thanks a lot.
Look at the front end of that Bill-based BMW juddering as he goes through Richards, James.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he's just a little bit... He was a little bit wide mid-corner, that, but made it back and squared off the exit nicely.
So Richard Cooper, who's set off accompanied by PJ and Duncan with Let's Get Ready to Rumble, which is apparently Anton Deck from their biker days.
Yeah, but you didn't know that? Yeah, Biker Grove. Yeah, that's up your way, that.
It's beyond my way. So number 47, Richard Cooper. At the moment, it's Hickman, Parks and Idden at the top from 148.69 to 149.0. A beautiful shot of We're getting some great images here of these guys through the infield. So this is the deceptively baby-faced Richard Cooper then, and he's on the gas on the Bill-based BMW. And he's going into the point now where Peter Hickman felt he got it a little bit wrong, but that looks beautiful. Onto the back straight then for Richard Cooper. Tucks himself in. A tiny figure can tuck himself in. streaks down the back straight, and he's plus 0.219, so he's just he's a fraction quicker than Christian Idden at this point. Could go third. Richard Cooper going round corners. Oh, listen to that BMW howling. The BMW is the build-based team that had such success on the Isle of Man with victories with Michael Dunlop in the Superbike and the senior TT round the final left-hander and up the hill. So 48.6 to beat, or a 49.0. If he's in the 48, he'll be third. Oh, 49.044, and he's a whisker outside Idden's time. So the build-based BMW goes fourth for Cooper.
Christian Idden had the Gladiators theme tune for his flying lap there, Christian. I think you needed some gladiator courage out there with your hand in that state, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a bit of an accident on Tuesday. Managed to knock my finger off, so it's not ideal. I've had it sewn back on for the weekend, and I've got an operation on it on Monday to fix it, so it's bugging me a little bit. Not ideal. Just got to have it sat on top of the clutch lever. I can't actually move it. The guys have made me a special glove. They fiberglass around the end of it to protect it, to try and stop it from falling off until we get to the operation on Monday. But I'm enjoying riding my bike again. I've had a few rounds where I've not enjoyed it so much, so that wasn't a great Super Bowl lap, but it was quite good fun.
At least you're in the front 3 rows for tomorrow anyway. Cheers, thanks Christian, well done.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, back on track, accompanied by Golden Earring and Radar Love. This is Danny Buchan on the Moto Rapido Lloyd's British Ducati Panigale.
That's a 70s tune. We're going way back, is Danny.
Yeah, no, way back before he was born.
Correct.
These guys have a sense of history.
Oh, and that's not what you want on a Super Bowl lap. Lost the rear. That was so near to a crash. Did really well to collect that. Now he's got to compose himself and get going. That's definitely cost him a couple of tenths, just that incident. That was close, was that, Jack? Right mid-corner, he went for the gas, and it was initial crack of the throttle, and he just spun out sideways. Did lucky to get away with that. Did well.
Perhaps that's what Shaky was talking about, the sudden surge of power on the Ducati.
Exactly, but they're in a completely different exhaust system, but that's exactly what you would expect Shaky's problem to manifest itself in on track, yeah.
Oh, and look at that, James. He'd be quickest at this point then without that moment, because he's only a whisker outside Hickman's time. 148.697 then is Danny Buchan's potential lap time if he wants to go top of the current tree. We've got Hickman, Parks, Idden and Cooper already with time set. This is Danny Buchan. Leon Haslam is waiting in pit lane and has now set off on his sighting lap. Here comes Buchan, round Corums, breaking hard into Murray's, and then gathering the Lloyd's British Motor Rapido Ducati together as he burns his way up the hill. 1 minute 48.69 is his target. 1 minute 48.825. He goes second. So except for that big moment, that could have been,
I think. Yeah,
pole position.
Yep.
Currently second then, behind Hickman and ahead of Brock Parks.
149 flat for Richard Cooper. Richard, how are you feeling about that?
A little bit disappointed actually. A couple of mistakes. Right at the start of the lap, which don't help, sort of puts you in, you messed up at turn 2. Disappointed for the boys really. It's nice to make Q3 and first time in the Super Bowl, but not to make the most of it. It's a little bit disappointing, but we made big steps, ready for tomorrow's race. From yesterday, we were a good chunk in front of where it was, so we'll be there, we'll dig in like we always do.
Cheers, Richard, no doubt about it. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
This is Leon Haslam, the infamous pocket rocket. Now 33 years old, the lad from Smalley in Derbyshire. And now a father of 2, of course. Great lover of Manchester United Football Club, amongst other things.
He's a lover of most things on 2 wheels and 4 wheels. We've got an engine and wheels. He's into it. Built his own house a couple of years ago. Really nice place.
And of course has spent yesterday reacquainting himself with the Pirelli tyres after riding Bridgestones for the factory Kawasaki team. And alongside, his 2 Japanese teammates include the legendary Akira Yanagawa, although his dad Ron says Akira's capable of putting in 1 quick fast lap, but it doesn't seem to manage to have the consistent pace. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
That'll be the fags, and that's wide.
That was wide.
Yeah. Yanagawa loves a fag.
Does he really?
Oh, yeah.
I never saw him smoke.
Yeah.
It was Yukio Kageyama, who was a great lover of cigarettes.
Yeah, I might be getting confused there.
I think you are there.
Okay.
It was Yukio. No, Yanagawa, clean living lad.
Oh, okay.
Very clean living lad. Now, look, 1 minute 12.2 is the target here. Is he going to... Oh, he's minus 0.226. So wide or not, the determination of Leon Haslam shines through, and the JG Speedfit Kawasaki looks set to sail into temporary pole position here ahead of his teammate Peter Hickman. James Ellison, the third member of the squad, just failed to make Super Pole. And as the bike booking around underneath, he's working hard.
He is working hard. The bike is moving, but he's trying hard, isn't he?
So drops it into the left-hander now and accelerates up the hill. The time to beat, 148.697, is the standard set by his teammate. 148.352 will do nicely. And by 0.3 of a second, Leon Haslam posts pole position ahead of Hickman and Buchan.
We've got Danny Buchan here, currently sat in second place and third place, and at worst, Danny, a second row start. How are you feeling about that after your first Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's good. I've not got the experience of Super Bowl, so before I'm like, oh, Terry, tell me, because obviously Terry Ryman's my mentor, and I'm thinking, you need to tell me everything I need to do here. And the Motor Rapido Ducati's been, the Lloyd's British Motor Rapido Ducati's been amazing the whole time, and yeah, to put a lap in like that's good. I made a small mistake and I was up there, so I think it's for the race the pace is looking good, but yeah, I just sort of messed up there myself. But first Super Bowl ever for me. I'm only a young pup, only 23, so we can sort of build on that now, and yeah, sort of have to hold your breath for a lap there. So no, it's nice to breathe. I just fell over there actually. You might have saw that, but yeah, we'll see where we end up. You know, it's about the race. 2 good races for us tomorrow, and to be honest, I'm quite surprised to be here where I am, because Snetterton's not my strongest circuit. So big thanks to my team, big thanks to Ducati and everyone involved.
Cheers, Danny. Well done.
Cheers, guys.
Danny Buchan then well chuffed to be on the front 2 rows of the grid here, and we're now watching the first of the 2 Hondas. The one coming out of pit lane is number 4, Dan Linfoot. The one who's actually out on his flying lap is the Australian Osho, Jason O'Halloran.
And he's pushing on.
Jason went out to the sound of speeding cars, singing Walking on Cars. But he's on 2 wheels. He's on the Honda 5 there, which sounds beautiful coming out of the hairpin.
Yeah, screams, doesn't it?
So Jason O'Halloran from Wollongong in New South Wales, just 50 miles south of Sydney. He's a place that's produced many of the finest of Australia's motorcycling exports, and he really had it whistling as he came out of the right-hander onto the back straight. 1 minute and he's by. Oh, 10th of a second under. He is in touch. He's a whisker underneath Haslam's time. Haslam 148.358. That is the target time for this man, Jason O'Halloran. He's right there with the Kawasaki. And these are the lads watching on, because of course it determines where they're going to actually start on the grid for the first race tomorrow. Brock Parks there was the man who set the pace. He's alongside team boss and former teammate back in 2007, Tommy Hill. Through Murray's, hard on the gas up the hill.
Looked pretty clean, did that.
148.35 is the target time. 148.595, loses it on the last split, and Haslam remains top of the bill. O'Halloran second, Hickman third, Buchan drops to 4th in the second row alongside Parks and Christian Idden. Cooper in 7th place, and there's just Linfoot to come, Dan Linfoot and then Shane Byrne. This is Linfoot.
And Leon Haslam back in pits. Yeah, your Buffon looks fine, Leon. Your lap looked pretty good as well after a couple of problems, it seemed, in Q2.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we've not had a run all weekend. We've probably only strung 2 or 3 laps together all weekend. So to go into the first 1 lap of Super Pole, I wasn't feeling the best for it. But we got a lap together. It wasn't perfect. We've still got some big issues we need to look at, but we'll take it so far. It's going good.
You're on top at the moment. Well done.
Thank you.
These Haslams, was Ron like that? Would he ride round anything? I mean, to talk about big issues and put a lap time like that in, could Ron ride anything?
Yeah, Ron would. Well, he had to do in them days, because he rode big old 4 strokes, 2 strokes. Ron would have a go at anything and not complain too much. But then again, he got to learn how to set a bike up, and Ron was into the old welding, cutting bits off, welding other bits on, making his own stuff. You know, he's got big well equipped. We're still at it. It's Ron. Whether it works or not, I'm not sure.
This is Dan Linfoot, who kicked off his outlap to the accompaniment of Chumbawamba and Tub Thumping. So a Tub Thumping lap perhaps in prospect then for the second of the Hondas. He's got to nail a very low 148 lap if he's going to get the better of Leon Haslam. Can the North Yorkshireman do it? that smooth 250 GP Superstock 600 style of Dan Linfoot. Real corner speed.
It should suit here because it's flat and quite smooth, and there's lots and lots of constant radius corners. So if you can gain, you know, half a metre in each of those, then it'll add up.
Yeah, you're right, they are quite constant radius, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that could suit it. But doesn't that mean he spent backing her in beautifully at the end of the straight, just to say, grabs it in time to get into Brundles, flicks it left through Nelson, flicks it right through Nelson, and onto the bomb hole. Leon Haslam will be watching this with interest, as too will O'Halloran, Hickman, Buchan, Parks, Eden and Cooper. Dan Linfoot, the second last man to go. The first time we've had weather that has allowed us to use this new Superpole system here in British Superbikes in 2016. And as the Honda Fireblade pours the air on the climb up the hill and hits the finishing line, 1 minute 48.427, he goes second. Absolutely cleanly split. Haslam at 1:48.3 and O'Halloran at 1:48.5. So Linfoot knows he'll start from the front row of the grid.
Good, really good.
O'Halloran, his teammate, will go drop back behind him onto the second. Well, it will do if Shaky Byrne puts in the sort of lap time we feel that he's probably capable of.
Yes, Jason will be a keen spectator down here in front of the screen that we've got. Jason, how are you feeling about that lap? It looks at the minute like you might be on for a front row.
Yeah, it was not bad, you know, first time we've done Superpole. You know, really difficult to go out and do one flying lap straight off the bat. It's a bit tough, but especially with the oil down at turn 1. But, you know, we've done a decent lap, 48.5, wasn't bad. I think we've got a good pace for tomorrow, wet or dry. So, yeah, see how we go. Be nice to start on the front row. I got a feeling that Shaky's going to knock us off, though. So, you know, second row will be all right for tomorrow.
We'll let you watch the rest of this lap, I think, Jason. Well done.
Thank you.
Fabulous sound from that new exhaust system here on the Ducati Panigale.
It still sounds really loud. It's got to get under 107 dB, and that compared to 115 dB is about half. It's about half the audible sound. But it still sounds kind of booming. It's lovely. I mean, if you don't like motorbikes, it's not nice. But if you like engines and bikes, it's lovely.
On the burst through the infield now, heading down to Agostini's, backing it smooth in. He's plus .018 on that first split over the time set by his great rival Leon Haslam. They're the guys who've won more than one race this season, of course. 3 for Haslam, 2 for this man Shaky Byrne, and of course 7 times a race winner here and unbeaten here since race 2 in 2013 when he got the better of the ultimate champion Alex Lowe's.
Yeah, sweet that. Lovely. See it just moving the whole way around.
So Shaky Byrne then, head down. Watch this, Haslam watches with interest as we check out the time,
Yeah,
and it's
quick.
minus
It's really
.236. He's put in a terrific middle split, which has pulverized the time set by Leon Haslam. So if the Ducati can just hold this smoothly, I'm a bit worried about this. Can someone have a word with Shaky? We don't want him to start dominating the series as he has done in years past at times. So number 67, the 39-year-old Londoner, Shaky Byrne, drops the BYD Ducati into the final turn. Clean as you like, runs a bit wide, almost collects a bit of turf as he comes out of the final turn and up the hill. Target time 1:48.358, 1:47.795. That'll do very nicely by just over half a second. Shane Byrne puts in almost a perfect Superpole lap, James Whitton.
That's just about under the existing lap record. Obviously, it won't count because it is in qualifying, not in the race, but that is a quick lap. That's the quickest we've seen all weekend.
So a brilliant lap then by BYD Ducati's Shaky Byrne, the 4-time British Superbike champion. And that is, look at that, he's absolutely thrilled with that. And I think that Matt's caught up with Dan Linfoot, who will start from the front row of the grid alongside Byrne and Haslam.
Yeah, just a real quick one, Dan, your reaction to that and the front row start for tomorrow's race 1.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy. It's the first time I've done it, you know, so it was always going to be difficult. You first ever go at a one-lap special. I'm happy that I'm on the front row. It's the first front row I've had all year, so to do it in the first Superpole is obviously a nice feeling. But I just want to turn that into 2 good, strong results again tomorrow now. So looking forward to the 2 races tomorrow. I always seem to pull something out of the bag on a Sunday. So to take the front row is a little bonus as well.
Cheers, Dan, well done.
Thanks.
So Shaky Byrne, let's hope that Shaky hasn't got his serious face on. They're all putting on their deadly earnest faces for Matt today. Shaky Byrne with a blistering 147.795 against Josh Brooks's lap record of 147.882 set in 2014. Is quickest ahead of Leon Haslam and Dan Linfoot. Second row will be O'Halloran, Hickman and Buchan. And the third row, Brock Parks, well done. Christian Idden, bravely done. And Richard Cooper. Shaky Byrne then stamps his authority on proceedings. He hasn't been beaten here since the second race of 2013. But James, for the last 3 meetings, Leon Haslam's won the first race of the weekend. So he'll be thinking he can do that again tomorrow, problems or no problems.
Well, whatever's happened over the weekend has happened to Haslam. He never goes into race here thinking he can't win, ever. You could put him on the 5th row, he would still think he's got a fair chance.
Well, he'll have to do something to dent the confidence of this fella. Meanwhile, Javier Beltran talks to Dan Linfoot. Leon Haslam in the background talks to his dad, Ron. And there's a nice little gathering of part of all that is the great and good of current British Superbike racing here. Dan Linfoot getting chucked into the mic. Ollie Haslam there on the left-hand side, the wife and mother of Leon Haslam's kids. And hugs for Shaky Byrne, because Shaky's only gone and done it again. He's put himself cleanly on pole position. I think Matt's going to try and launch himself in there when the hugs are over and get a hug himself and find out what Shaky thinks of that.
I won't go for the hug, Jack, but I will go for the question. Well done. Well done, Shaky. First pole position in the new format, and you went out last as well. Was that an advantage?
I don't know if it was an advantage. You know, we needed one more dry session. I said that earlier in the weekend. The weather's been a bit up and down here, isn't it? So it was a bit of a gamble, but the bike, Giovanni and my team, done such a good job. You know, the thing was on rails, and I knew after the previous qualifying that I had a little bit in hand. I wasn't sure quite how much, and then Leon done a 48.3, which was quite close to my time anyway. And the boys put me 48.3 on the board as his lap. And then after the first split, I looked and I was quite a lot up on what I'd already done when I'd done a 48.1. So I just tried to maintain it, and yeah, there we go.
Brilliant. Well done, Shane. You'll start from pole position tomorrow in BSB Race 1. We are going racing after the break, though, with the Dickies.